It's a beautiful full circle moment. A local survivor returning to the same centre that once supported her, and she is now offering help to others. Carolyn Bruni is a trauma survivor and breathwork facilitator based in Nerang, and along with her therapy dog Louie, helps others navigate trauma at the Gold Coast Centre Against Sexual Violence. Carolyn and Louie are in the studio this morning. Good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning. I'd love to put a microphone next to Louie, but I just don't know if we're going to get much out of him.
So Louie's won the whole office over here this
has.
morning. He's done the rounds and completely loves it. Well, let's start with Louie. Paint a picture for our audience this morning. What breed of dog is he, and what sort of work does he do?
Sure. So Louie is a border collie. He normally strikes people, captures people's attention because he's a tricolour border collie. So he's just gorgeous. He's got these beautiful tones of brown, and he loves people. So he's turning 5 this year. So he's past that kind of hectic puppy stage and has an absolutely beautiful nature about him. Kind of knew from when he was little that he was going to be a really special dog. We did a lot of obedience training, and then late last year we did our training and certification through Therapy Dogs Australia, which is another Queensland business, which was amazing. And now he is officially certified as a therapy dog.
So explain to myself and the audience exactly what a therapy dog is and how does it work?
So a lot of people may assume that a therapy dog is like the dogs you might see, like the guide dogs or the police dogs, or dogs you may see in different spaces, but they're a little bit different, and the ones that you may have seen with people are likely to be assistance dogs. So they are trained specifically for the individual, and that's why there's that differentiator. Now, a therapy dog is a dog that can work with multiple people while supported by a handler. So our relationship is incredibly important, and we work as a team. So you might see therapy dogs in schools. That's very common. In psychology settings, speech pathology, those types of medical and professional settings. But what we do that's a little bit different is we weave Louie's magic into the work that I do with trauma survivors, but we also volunteer to organisations, as we discussed about the centre that we're working with.
So 20 years ago, you needed the help of the Gold Coast Centre Against Sexual Violence. Tell us how that centre helped you 20 years ago, and then why you decided to come back again.
Yeah, so I had received some therapy in my teens, and it wasn't tailored to the experiences that I had had. So when I came across the centre in my early 20s, it was exactly what I needed. The therapist that knew how to support me in a really specific way. They used language and information that helped me understand my lived experiences and why back then as a young mum certain things were coming up for me. And the fact that the service was free was just something that was amazing as a young 20-something-year-old wanting that type of support and being able to access it. Now, what's incredible is it's 20 years later and I'm now living on the Gold Coast again, and the centre is still here and they're still doing that beautiful work, offering support to people here on the Gold Coast.
So your bread and butter, Carolyn, is you are a trauma survivor coach. Mm-hmm. You're also a breathwork facilitator, yep. Is that the word I use?
Yeah, definitely.
And then also you've got Louie as a therapy dog. Mm-hmm. So you are now back at the Gold Coast Centre for Sexual Violence volunteering mm-hmm. with Louie. So when you go there, what role do you and Louie play? I know you're facilitating Louie, but you've also been through a similar process. So how does it work for the both of you?
Yeah, so I think the fact that I have had that experience and have been a client of the centre has added a nuance that I just don't think you could replicate in any other way. But what's been really beautiful in all my training is that I'm trauma informed, so I have a really clear understanding of what I need to do as Louie's handler, but also how I can ensure that I'm still creating a safe, supportive space for the clients. Now, what we do at the centre is we work in what's called a diamond model, which is a therapy dog model or explanation. So there is therapist, the client, Louie, and myself as the handler, and we create that diamond. So my role is to support Louie and his role is to support the client, and then the therapist does their work as well.
So I'm just imagining a room with the three of you and Louie. Mm-hmm. So you've got the therapist talking with the patient or the client. Louie's having a scratch down there, that's fine. And then you're there as well, so you obviously introduce yourself to the client as well. So when a dog greets somebody, there's this sort of an excitement. I mean, Louie did this 5 minutes ago. Then I'm guessing you want Louie to settle down. Is it like a touch thing, so the client can then pet Louie, and then it'll help sort of open up, or allow the client to relax to then open up? Is that
That's
basically
exactly right. So even before we get into the session, we've done some meet and greet sessions at the centre. So the clients are aware that Louie is an option that they can opt into. So they actually specifically request us in those sessions, and then we, if we're available, we go in for that session. So normally they've either met Louie or at least seen some photos of him, and they're already pretty excited to spend the session with him. He makes a pretty good receptionist. Like even at our breathwork studio, he greets everyone at the door and kind of walks them in and then goes to greet the next person. So he's pretty lively like that. But once we get into the session, he settles really quickly. So he may sit at their feet. If they're sitting on a couch, he may sit next to them and rest his head on their lap. And just that beautiful, gentle nature that he has just helps them. They're stroking him as they're patting him. They're just interacting with him in this really beautiful, subtle way. And if they do have a moment where they might feel overwhelmed, or they may be wanting to talk through something, but the thought of looking the therapist in the eyes and maintaining that eye contact with a human might be challenging, they can sit and just chat to Louie and share what they need to say and keep that session flowing whilst gaining that beautiful human-animal bond.
Carolyn Bruni is in the studio this morning with her border collie Louie. We are talking about the work she's doing at the Gold Coast Centre Against Sexual Violence. I'm imagining that Louie picks up cues very instinctively. So, you know, I've got a dog at home, and if I have a terse word with my husband, the dog will prick its ears, and they sense when the mood changes in a room, and then they generally try and, almost like trying to pour oil on troubled waters. They do their best to try and come and see you and check up on you. So it must be really beautiful to watch your dog helping somebody who's going through trauma, you know, speak about it and hopefully process it and hopefully compartmentalize it and then move on to a degree.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I found really beautiful is Louie's a dog, so he still does dog things, and when people get excited or they're just so happy to see him, he greets them with that mutual excitement and he just amps that up. But when they are having that moment, or may not even realize that it's coming, so even as human beings, we might be talking through something and then we feel that lump in our throat, we have that tear that comes and we think, well, where did that come from? He's normally already there. He's right at your feet. He knows it's coming. And what's really interesting is in the breathwork sessions, because no one's talking, he moves around the space just freely, and he will make his way to people quite naturally. And I may not even be on that side of the room, and he'll go over and have a little nuzzle, and next thing you know, that person's having a really beautiful emotional release, or they're starting to settle further into that de-stress, which is incredible to see. And it's definitely why people keep coming back. It's extra special.
The breath work itself, I sound ignorant, but I'm assuming breath work is like, I think of it as someone trying to hold their breath underwater for longer and do those sorts of things. But breath work's more than that. It's about getting yourself to sleep.
There's so many different ways of using breath work. There's definitely all the, the deep diving, free diving, incredible work that people can do in the ocean. There are ways of using breath work to amp yourself up. So if you're about to do something really exciting, if you're about to get ready for a fitness activity or whatever else, you can use breathwork in that way. But the way that we use it in our studio is we help people de-stress. So we run Friday night sessions, and that gives people an opportunity to wind down at the end of the week, especially for people that are looking for ways to wind down that don't involve anything else. So it may not be the drink at the pub or the catch up with people. They may just need to focus on themselves. And the beautiful thing about breathwork is we carry it with us. There's no, other than Louie, there's no gimmicks. There's nothing else that you need. All you need to do is breathe, and we do that every day. So I prompt people to breathe in particular ways, and that helps to regulate the nervous system, to drop into how they're feeling. And some people might realize that they, have an emotion or something that they had been carrying throughout that week, and now they've kind of let it go throughout that process.
Can I say thank you for coming in this morning, Carolyn? Thank you for bringing Louie in. You certainly brought a ray of sunshine into the office here at ABC Gold Coast this morning, but I'm sure also a lot of people listening have also listened to what you said and taken it on board. If anything you have heard this morning raises any issues for you, you can contact 1-800-RESPECT, which is a national domestic, family and sexual violence counselling, information and support service. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.